Najma, and what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to show you some basic beginner steps so that you can start on your journey on being a belly dancer. So the important thing to remember as a dancer is your posture, how your knees are positioned, your shoulders, and your chest. When we belly dance, or I should say when I do belly dancing, because I do Egyptian Cabaret, kind of my style, I dance on the balls of my feet, kind of like this. And I'm going to pull my pants up so you can see my feet a little bit better. So as you can see, here are my feet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to dance first with your feet flat. But when you start dancing in Egyptian Cabaret, what you're going to be doing is going up on the balls of your feet. And when you do that, you learn how to balance and work your feet underneath you with your hips, doing your shimmy, or with even soft moves. So it's important to understand first how the body has to be positioned before you start dancing. So let's go over your positioning, which is very important. Number one, you want to have your knees bent. Now, you may be tall, you may be short, or you might be in between. Doesn't matter. Throughout belly dancing, the style that I teach, your knees are bent. So my knees are bent to about here. And if I work my hips going right to left side, guess what happens? They stay bent. Even when I thrust to the side, my right knee is still bent. So you know that your knees are going to be bent throughout all the combinations that you're going to be doing. Secondly, your positioning of your pelvic area. Your center in belly dancing is basically right through here. This is your core in here. So what you want to do is be very aware of how to position yourself. One thing belly dancing does is it gives you really good posture. So what you want to do is, once you have your knees bent, and remember, before we get to the pelvic area, one more thing. Remember that I want your feet shoulder width. I don't want your feet here. Because why? Because then the movement isn't contained and controlled, and then we can get sloppy. And this is the difference between belly dancing and exotic dancing, because we don't need the poles, and we keep our feet underneath us, because belly dancing is a very controlled and isolated dance form. So you want to make sure your feet are shoulder width, okay, and underneath you, so you have control of your dance movement. Next, posture. Our pelvic area, you don't want it like this because you don't want your back arched. Number one, you have little nerve endings in the lower part of your back, and you'll tweak them out, and it's going to hurt. So you want to make sure your back is as straight as possible. So what do? You tuck in. You tuck in your pelvic area right in here. So you tuck in, kind of bring the pelvic area up a little bit towards your belly button. Just tuck in. So your knees are bent and you're tucked. Next, what you want to do is you don't want your chest just kind of, or your posture up top here, kind of like this, right? Because then it looks kind of silly. What you want to do is roll your shoulders back, stick your chest slightly out, and then be aligned in through here. And then your arms are going to be shoulder height. So this is how it looks like from the front, right here. And your palms are going to be facing the floor. Your middle finger is going to be facing down. It's going to be pointed down. And I want you just to relax your arms, just to position them in a way to where it's comfortable. Now, I know you're probably going, yeah, right, Leyla. It's not very comfortable, but down the line, it'll be something that you'll get used to. One thing I do with my students is I know that your arms are going to go down, because after a while, you start getting a burn right up here with holding your arms up. So usually the arms tend to go down. So I don't mind them going down a little bit. What I want to make sure is that you don't get the little birdie arms where you're going down like this. This is a no-no for me. I prefer your arms up so that when you're positioned and ready to dance, you're here. So I have my pelvic tucked, my knees are bent, chest slightly out, arms shoulder height, and now I'm in position and ready to start dancing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what I call a hip thrust. We're going to thrust to the right and left and right and left sides. Right, left, right, left. But there's one thing I want you to do. What I want you to do is I want you to squeeze each cheek. So if you thrust to the right side and then to your left side, I want you to squeeze your right glute muscle. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to squeeze this cheek when you thrust to the right side, and then squeeze your left cheek when you go to the left side. So you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Remember to keep those knees bent. Okay? Right and left, and right, left, right, left, right, left. Remember to have your pelvic area tucked in, and your shoulders are, your arms are shoulder height, and then your chest is slightly out. So here we go, and right, left, right, left, right, left, and right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One thing you want to remember when you thrust to the side, it has to be controlled. Let's talk about the muscle area that you're going to be using when you thrust to your right side and then to your left side. When you thrust to the right, you're going to feel the movement in your right glute and your quad muscle right in here. Okay, so what you're going to be using is your thigh and the back part of your butt. And you're going to stop the thrust. It's not an extension where you go like this. I don't want you moving the upper part of your body. No. What I want you to do is to know that belly dancing is very isolated. So from your waist up, you don't move at all. Okay? This is an extension for your hips only, not your upper body. So you want to make sure that your upper body does not move at all, or as little as possible. Because I know when you first start out belly dancing, now there's a lot to remember. But just know belly dancing is a very isolated and muscle-controlled dance form. So you want to make sure you're aware of the muscle area that you're using in order to make a move look good and to do it appropriately. So when we thrust right, it's controlled because when I squeeze my right glute, when I squeeze it, it stops it. So squeeze, and then I have my quad where it tightens up too. So it's not an extension, so it's not weak. Because if it's weak, you can tell it's weak because my coins, they're not moving that much. But if I control it, see? You can see that my coins are jiggling because I have more control and more power in my hips. Okay? So one thing I want you to remember too is to keep your heels down at all time. And the reason being is because a lot of people will raise their opposite heel from the side they're thrusting on. So that means if I thrust to the right side, the left heel comes up. Your feet stay flat at all time. So I want to make sure that you know feet are flat and you do not lift the heel up. And if you feel your heel going up a little bit, push it back down. Because then what tends to happen to dancers when they do that is they kind of push out to the side and they don't have as much power, or they kind of what I call lean side to side because they lift their heel up. And I don't like that because belly dancing to me is more of a storytelling with the body. It's more three-dimensional, so I don't want other parts of your body moving when one part can say the story all by itself. Sometimes it's more powerful that way. And I think that's why you all like belly dancing, because you like how it looks when you work a movement well, or when you see it done well. So let's get our music going, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling, thrusting right to left.